Joining us now, Republican Congressman Mark Harris of North Carolina. Thank you for being here. Nice to see you as always. Consumer confidence, as we listen to people and we see what their spending habits are right now, has tumbled to the lowest level since the start of COVID. Tariffs have eclipsed inflation as the top concern for voters. What are you saying and hearing from your constituents right now to boost their confidence in spending and remain optimistic, as the president said, about the economy?
Well, Marnie, first of all, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be with you. And yes, I do think, as I've been back in the district over the last couple of weeks and meeting with people and talking to people, there does seem to be a cautious confidence continuing for this president and the policies that are being in place. I think one of the things I heard consistently back in the district was that folks recognize that we're going about things in a strong way. President Trump hit the ground running. His first 100 days have really just been amazing, probably more than any other administration that we can speak of in my recent history that I can recall. And so they're willing to give this president a chance. I think in all of the issues, they're willing to, they know it's going to take some time. They know that there's a little pain that's being involved as we go forward. But you can't argue with the fact that countries are lined up, knocking on the door. We're already seeing things, as Secretary Bessent has already talked about. Some of the negotiations are going quicker than maybe he even anticipated, like with South Korea. So I think we're going to see more and more announcements that come forward, which will continue to give people the confidence that they need. And mainly, President Trump, I think, has brought a sense of confidence in leadership back to the White House. That's what people elected in November of 24. They wanted us to do government differently, and I think they're seeing that happen right now.
Yeah, Congressman, there hasn't been a deal yet made. There are talks, but nothing has come to fruition. Here's what the president said about tariffs on China.
145% tariffs on China, and that is basically an embargo.
They deserve it.
It'll raise prices on everything from electronics to clothing to building houses.
You don't know that. You don't know whether or not China is going to eat it.
That's mathematics.
China probably will eat those tariffs.
How important is it that the president gets a deal done with China, or perhaps we're hearing India this week? How critical is timing in bringing these deals together?
Well, I do think timing's important, and I do think that you're going to see some announcements that are going to be coming later this week and in the weeks to come. Again, this is a process. Countries are sitting down. These negotiations are going to take place, and I think that the American people, when they look at President Trump, they do see somebody that they have confidence in his negotiations. You might call him the negotiator in chief, and this is really within his wheelhouse. It's something that I think that he's going to really do in a big way to help Americans feel that confidence as we start seeing results. This was a decision everybody knew that was going to be a long-term play, and he's always negotiating. And I think that's one of the things Americans are beginning to get used to, is that honestly, we're seeing negotiations in real time as they take place.
Another campaign promised tax cuts, and the president likes to talk about this big, beautiful bill that I know you all are talking a lot about in Congress right now. Let's hear what he had to say about where things stand and the status of this.
If our bill doesn't pass, the Republicans, we have 100% just about Republican support, but it would be nice if we had just a couple of Democrats just to make sure, because, every once in a while you have a grandstander Republican. We have some grandstanders. But every once in a while, not many, but remember who those grandstanders were and vote them the hell out of office.
All right, so where do things stand on the big, beautiful bill? And are you confident, Congressman, that you and your colleagues can get this to the president's desk?
Well, I really am, Marnie. I mean, honestly, one of the things that I oftentimes point out to people when we look at the left, we see that they are in disarray, they're leaderless, they're rudderless, they don't know which direction they're going. And one reason for that is that Republicans have taken the narrative away that they intended to use, and that was that Republicans couldn't govern. They had planned to say that we were going to splinter, that we were going to fall apart. But this president, and working along with Speaker Johnson and Senator Thune, have proven that we can work together, and we are on target. The House Speaker Johnson's been very clear, is looking toward Memorial Day to have our big, beautiful bill done and then send it over to the Senate, and then we'll see how that work progresses. But I really am hopeful that we're going to see it happen. I was in committee markups yesterday with Education and Workforce. I'll be in committee markups today with Judiciary Committee. So these are long meetings, hours long. But I think we're going to get it done, and I think that the American people will be pleased when we're complete.
Finally, your thoughts on immigration reform and the president's strategy so far. He has touted gains on his immigration agenda. We've seen decreased numbers at the border, but a lot of these cases and deportations are playing out in court. Do you support the president's strategy still as it moves forward, and what challenges do you see in the weeks and months ahead?
Well, I do support the president's strategy that he's using on immigration. I think everybody in the country has recognized that that is a true mark of success we've seen this administration leading in. And in fact, we're going to make sure, hopefully, in our part of the reconciliation, that we're going to give him all the tools that he needs to finish the job. We're going to be making sure that there's plenty of beds for detention, getting that number where it needs to be, making sure that we are able to really give them the equipment and give them the support that they need to finish the job. But indeed, he is getting it done with the numbers. Obviously, we've got some rogue judges out here with these nationwide injunctions, and that's the reason we passed a no rogue rulings bill in the House and have sent it over to the Senate. I'm hopeful that we're going to see the Supreme Court could step up and make this clear sooner rather than later. But I do think that the strategy he is using is working. When we see the dramatic numbers that have dropped in illegal border crossings, it's just phenomenal. And we just got to make sure that we help the president from Congress's standpoint to finish the job.
I know you've got a very busy day and week ahead. Congressman Mark Harris, thank you as always for being generous with your time.